I mean, here we are at the Arnhem Bridge, the road bridge. The ramp up to there, and then these buildings here, which are new, which replace the buildings that were here, which was sort of 2-storey. Brigade HQ was there.
And that was a lovely building with a lovely little sort of cupola on the top. And obviously when they're building this bridge, this is kind of ripping out quite a lot of buildings that must have been here.
Yeah.
They've had to remodel it. So this is coming because you're building this ramp. But actually the whole thing was lovely, wasn't it? Because these were gardens here and little parkland as it is today.
Yeah.
You've got all these sort of gorgeous houses. I mean, it was a really kind of genteel, kind of sleepy little place on the banks of the Niederrhein.
Yeah. The thing I'm getting though, and I've been here several times, and obviously look at the pictures. It is very, 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 very small here.
Yes.
This is a tiny lodgment. You know, we're going to be able to walk around it in
10 minutes.
If that.
Yeah.
You know. So the
Brigade HQ is there, wasn't it, basically?
HQ, Battalion HQ.
Yeah.
And then.
And you could go underneath it here as you can now.
Well, yes, and in fact, the blokes would take cover under there.
And digging slit trenches in here.
Slit trenches dug into here, but yeah, taking cover underneath the bridge. Then these buildings here, obviously, which are new, there were buildings that abutted the bridge too.
Yep.
But you know, you get here, a company, Digby Tate and Water, they get here about 7:30 on the Sunday night.
Yep.
They've made their way all the way through the town along the lower route, Lion route. They've been going in and out.
Along there.
They've been going in and out of people's gardens, through their front doors, in their houses, out their gardens.
Yep.
Wriggling on in what they call a snake. They describe as a snake.
Nice. Lieutenant Colonel John Frost, commander of the 2nd Battalion.
Yeah, who's the sort of the most experienced battalion commander that they've got. He did Operation Bite. He's done North Africa. He's done.
Yeah, that's the Bruneval raid.
Yeah, the Bruneval raid. He's done the lot.
He's been there, done it, got the T-shirt.
Very tactically astute. But his guys, they get here. Trucks are going over the bridge at one point. And
German trucks.
German trucks.
Well, and they're just under the bridge.
And they don't know the powers are here, and they're sensible enough not to engage them. You know, keep a lid on things. But you've also got, you've got Brigade HQ, you've got all sorts of different people, some anti-tank guns. I mean, what's amazing is the traffic islands here is where they dig mortar pits into the traffic islands here, and the crews run from the building opposite into the mortar pits when they need to fire the mortars, as well as having mortars in the.
So you rush out of the building, go into the mortar pits, ping it onto the bridge, or wherever.
But it's cheap by jowl. I mean, that's you're.
And presumably they're underneath here as well.
Yeah, they're underneath there. So for instance, on the Tuesday afternoon, there was a building on the south eastern end of the bridge that was, I think, a water company office.
Right.
If I remember rightly. And the platoon that's in there is evicted. Lieutenant McDermott's men are evicted. So Captain Tony Frank, his company commander, goes, "Oh, for God's sake," and rallies the men who are under here.
Yeah.
And he describes them as not looking tired, but not looking downhearted, just sort of like, "All right, we'll get on with it then, sir." And they go back in. Tatham Water gives Frank a colossal bollocking for the house having been given up.
Huh.
Frank takes a pit and they deal with some Mark IIIs over here in a building just there.
Literally where that kind of metal thing is.
We've walked through pretty much the width of the position because they are holding some buildings here.
Yes.
They're getting reduced down.
Yep.
On the Monday, there's some of them in here, but they're thrown out
because the Germans are coming from that direction.
Yeah.
And along the edge of the Rhine.
Yeah. But round here,
this is where the school is.
It's where the school is, and I think that this is sort of something worth talking about.
This is Mackay.
Yeah, Captain
Eric.
So
who allocates where who goes?
Well, I think
is going where? Is that just? Is it just? Is that organic?
Well,
or is
it's a bit of both. So where do you put the RESC guys? So the infantry people all sticking together.
Yeah.
You also have a company from 3 Power who've made it through, who Fitch has sort of said, "Press on, lads." And they come down the railway line and get into here. And Victor Dover's company, which is one of Frost's battalion companies, they're held up they're delayed in the town as well.
Wow.
So there's people missing.
Yes.
And there's people who've been left behind, and there's, so it's a sort of.
So not everyone's got here.
Not everyone's got here, but it's a it's a mishmash. But here is where the school is, which is this sort of white building.
Here was the site of the Van Limburg
Sturm School, which was held during the battle of the Rhine Bridge by a group of 1st Parachute Squadron Royal Engineers from the evening of Sunday the 17th of midday.
Midday on Wednesday, 20th.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fighting here, they're out on a limb, is the thing. You've got the stuff over the other side of the bridge where they're all looking out for each other. These guys are out on a limb here. And the Germans basically start firing on the building from the buildings opposite, on the school for the buildings opposite.
Was this? It's like on the Monday?
Yeah, so on the Monday,
Monday the 18th.
Mackay does this thing where what he does is he puts a Bren gun on what he calls remote control. So he's using a pull-through or some telephone wire or something like that.
Just to pull the trigger.
To pull the trigger. And then the Germans respond to the Bren gun. He goes, right, that's where you are. And then they return fire to each, and they gradually work their way through the Germans opposite on the Monday, right?
Amazing.
But the thing is, he's on the midnight on the Monday when they've just got in. There's this sort of argument between the different people in the building as to who's going to be in charge. There's some 3 para guys. There's these.
What rank is Mackay?
He's captain. He's 24 years old.
24.
Yeah. And Mackay escapes later. Mackay's one of the guys who escapes in Operation Pegasus and gets away.
But does he get back to Blighty?
Eventually, yeah. But he has that whole account where basically they at 3 o'clock in the morning on the Tuesday, the Germans hit the building with a mortar or a bazooka or something. And he says, he says it's a bazooka. The diary says it's a mortar, whatever. And he may even have written the diary, but
it's an explosion.
Everyone's knocked out.
Knocked out, unconscious.
Yeah. They come to.
Like literally everyone.
Yeah, and the building is surrounded by Germans who are chatting busily.
And
like,
what time is this?
This is at 3 o'clock in the morning. The Germans are like ready to take the building, and like chatting amongst themselves, talking openly because they think there's no one in there. And it's out on a limb. It's not over the other side. So Mackay gets everyone together, and from the windows, because he's already given up on the ground floor. It's too dangerous. They all come to the windows and lob grenades out and gun these people down.
So when does he get the head through the window and he puts the pistol?
That's like at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning on the Monday, where a bloke puts his head through the window and Mackay puts his pistol in his mouth and blows his head off. They're that close. It's like that, and it's bitter hand-to-hand fighting. And Mackay, for the whole thing, has a big piece of shrapnel in his boot, in his toe. Goes to see the medic. Can't get it out. Leaves it in. Carries on. I mean, eventually they have to give up on him.
He's one of your great heroes, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
The Arnhem battle.
And he's so funny as well. It's a funny account. I know he's.
Is it a memoir?
No, it's an account written for the Royal Engineers magazine for the kind of a year and a half later.
Wow.
And I found it in the New Zealand Royal Engineers magazine as a reprint from like 1957 or something. It's really something. And so there's a moment where these Mark IIIs come in, because the Germans on a Tuesday afternoon, and again all the timings vary in all the accounts. These Mark IIIs come in this way. Yeah. And they cut off McDermott's building, which is the encounter I was talking about earlier, where Tony Frank then has to go in and get them out of the building. And one of Mackay's men goes, Sir, there's Churchill's here, like that, right? And Mackay in the account goes, I then had to give him a very rapid lesson on armoured fighting vehicle identification. And he kind of think, yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, I can imagine what he said.
Yeah, but it's desperate here, and I think the thing is yes, they are holding the bridge. Yes, they are denying the Germans the use of it, but they're not going to be able to do anything with themselves. It's not like at any point soon they're going to be setting off to Nijmegen to find out.
They're still there, aren't they? They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's a sore thumb.
Yeah. I mean, this is the ultimate sore thumb, the school here. But I think what it does show is once you get, and I think the battle in the perimeter shows this as well, once you get these airborne soldiers, these British airborne soldiers into a place, it's very hard to remove them.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to remove because they are extremely well motivated.
Yeah.
And, you know, determined. And
Got
you know,
ammo, will keep firing.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, you've got the cry of Woe Mohammed going up everywhere.
Woe Mohammed, yes.
You know. I find he is one of my great heroes, and he's sort of, his style is very attractive because he's laconic about it. He's taking it on in his stride, but he's also not being it's graphic. He's saying what it's really like. He's saying how horrible it is. He's not sort of simply saying chaps did magnificently. He's talking about being a charnel house. You know, the stairs are slick with blood when he's going up and down stairs, when he goes down to have his foot looked at. You know, that's what it's like in there.
Horrendous.
Yeah. But I think this again, this is one of these places to come when you've read the account and try and project the school into what was here, and it's difficult.
What a story.
I think he's an interesting guy, and there, you know, by Wednesday evening, it's over.
Yeah.
Tony Hibbert, they order, you know, every man for himself thing. There's some argument about who said what, and
Yeah.
you know, because of course there is, because no one really knows, do they?
No.
And they're all in pockets then anyway. So
and they're not spending the whole time looking at
because
their
the thing is,
watches, are they?
Mackay is in radio contact with battalion headquarters for pretty much the whole of the battle. So he's able to speak to the people the other side of the ramp and tell them what's going on. And you know, Frost says to him, "Please hang on
Indefinitely.
indefinitely." You know, so like at midnight on the Tuesday night, Mackay's saying, "We can't do another day like today. That's impossible." And Frost says, "I'm sure you're doing your best, and please do hang on, old boy."
Isn't that for hunting horns? Yeah.
Because what else is Frost going to say? This is the other thing. There's all this self-reinforcing thing where Frost is never ever going to say to anyone, Second Army aren't coming.
No.
He can't say that, can he?
No.
And
No, he
so
can't.
Mackay isn't going to say that to his lads. No one can ever say that. No one can ever go. So even when Tiger tanks are turning up, they're going, 30 Corps here, lads. And obviously they're not. But I think that's one of the most interesting things about the mental strain if you're the officers, is you've got to lie the whole time to keep up appearances and keep up that whole thing. You've got to say, of course we're going to be rescued.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point? Captain Killick goes out to patrol west, and he's like a military policeman, I think. He's from the security section. And he takes 8 guys and they go west to try and find out what's happening with the brigade. And they get sort of 3-4 streets over that way. They know they can't go along the embankment, the Rheinkader. They can't do that because they'll be fired on from the southern bank. So they sort of wriggle through a few streets, and then they go, actually, you know what? There's no one coming, and there's enough of a German presence between them and we're
not going to be able to get anywhere.
So they turn around and come back.
So they all know they're isolated here.
By Monday, they know they're on their own here. Tuesday morning, they do make contact with 30 Corps, someone in 30 Corps who says, "We're just about to put in a river assault, don't worry, we're on our way." And obviously, what do you do if you're John Frost? You go, "Jolly good, thank you, we look forward to seeing you, old boy." You don't go, "You're never fucking coming."
Yeah, you bunch of idiots.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mackay, he's a
hell of a lad,
I
isn't he?
like him. I like the tone, but it's that strain. I can't imagine what it would have been like.
Thing is, Al,
Yes.
this is the bridge of John Frost and the Paras.
Yeah.
But it's also the bridge of one SS officer's grab for glory, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
You know, and when you're thinking about the battle for Arnhem, obviously the bridge is the first thing that comes into most people's mind. And it's kind of this view.
Well, and
strewn with armoured, armoured cars.
Smashed up vehicles and lorries and stuff.
And this is all Victor Grabner, is it?
Yeah.
SS Sturmbannführer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's sent to Nijmegen.
Because he is commander of the reconnaissance. The 10th SS
Reconnaissance.
Hunsberg.
Yeah.
And he goes to Nijmegen.
Gets there,
Finds out, oh, this is all right. Then hears that this is being grabbed by the British, so turns around and comes back again. So he's kind of sort of a bit betwixt and between, you know.
That's right.
10th SS in those first couple of days, they don't know where to be.
Well, they're completely off balance.
Not least because they're supposed to be going to Berlin.
Yeah.
You know, half the divisional kit is on wagons that Arnhem railway station waiting
Yeah.
to go out.
The thing is, though, I mean, there's no one really knows what his intention was. It seems why he was putting in this attack, even if he knew it was an attack. There has been an attack at 4 o'clock in the morning. There is an effort from here, from the east, to dislodge the men at the bridge, and gets himself killed as a consequence.
Yes.
So it's a story with a happy ending. I mean, the thing is, but they come over. 22 vehicles come over.
Okay, so what they do? They're coming from because Nijmegen's basically
that way.
keep going down this road. You
Yeah.
come to the Nijmegen road bridge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they come over the bridge, and at first they're spotted coming at about 9:30 by spotters on the highest points in the.
This is on the 18th, Monday the 18th.
On Monday the 18th.
Yeah.
And the initial thought here at the bridge is that it's some Second Army, 30 Corps have arrived.
They're here. Steady, Corps. They're here, chaps.
If Guards Armoured had got there on Monday morning, they'd have been ahead of schedule, and this would be a very, very different podcast. This would be a very, very different battle, and a different story in how the war was over by Christmas, thanks to the brilliant and unimpeachable Montgomery. Anyway,
And his trusty sidekick, Boy
but
Browning.
they come over. It's a huge ding dong. I mean, they do some preliminary mortaring, I think, and all that sort of thing of the buildings of the bridge. But when they get here, this is point blank range stuff. I mean, we're just the other side of the road from those buildings, and in fact, the buildings that sat alongside the bridge were even closer than these ones.
Yeah. Yes, they were, weren't they? They're
yeah.
literally cheek by jowl,
They're
aren't
literally
they?
right up against the bridge, right up against here.
And there's little bunkers here.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the one that goes on fire, isn't it?
Yeah,
on
that's
the other
right,
side of the road.
Yeah.
Now. Oh, now we're in trouble. You bloody missed it. Well, you knocked my arm, you clumsy bastard. No, we never get out of here.
This this is one of the bits of the Arnhem story that if you've relied on the film for the story of it,
Yes.
you're not doing yourself a favour, because this goes on for a couple of hours. I mean, interestingly, one of the things that does happen here, there's this idea that the Germans are actually behaving themselves and being pretty decent about certainly the treatment of the wounded. And there's the story that after the battle ends here, they're handing out cigarettes and chocolate, and it's Allied cigarettes and chocolate from the supply drop, and saying, that was a jolly good battle, well done, you fought awfully well, proper battle like in the good old days, right? But why are the Germans doing this at this stage in the war? Why is this suddenly?
Because they're losing.
Because it's ending, it's losing.
Yeah.
And they may be thinking a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
They may be thinking a little bit ahead to
Yeah.
what happens if there's
Yeah.
the boots on the other foot. And I think
I would.
I definitely would. And I think you could, that's one of the other interesting things about Arnhem. You've got lots of end of war in it too. There's enough people here who think, there's enough people on the Allied side who think the war's going to end. Why would I risk my neck?
But it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I know we keep saying it, but here we are on a kind of sort of peaceful Wednesday in September, 80 years on, and hundreds of cars going back and forth across this bridge.
And bicycles.
And bicycles. And yet, this is one where you can picture them.
Oh, completely.
You can see that half
the
tracks
inferno.
here. The inferno and
yeah.
smoke rising out of the
Yeah.
out from the sky, out from the tower, and the sounds of distant small arms and booms, and the wreckage here, and the smell of burnt rubber and fuel and death and so on. I mean, it's not hard to evoke those pictures, is it?
No, it isn't. You can picture the pyrotechnic fires here. You can picture it being daylight at midnight because everything's on fire.
I'll tell you the other thing I've picked up is how much the bridge wobbles.
It's a wobbly bridge, isn't it? So imagine how much it wobbled when things were being blown up and destroyed on here.
Yeah. It is amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing.